Communicable diseases are caused by pathogens. That can be viruses, bacteria, fungi, or protists. Protists are single-celled parasites. They all reproduce in your body and cause damage to it. But viruses can't reproduce by themselves. A virus, in fact, is just a protein casing that surrounds genetic code that it injects into your cells, which causes the cell to produce more copies of the virus. The cell explodes and the virus goes on to infect more cells. Creepy, right? Measles is a virus that causes a rash, and it can actually be pretty deadly too. It's spread by droplets from sneezes or coughs. HIV is an STD, or STI, sexually transmitted disease or infection, that compromises your immune system. That's called AIDS for short. It can also be spread by people sharing needles. Bacteria, on the other hand, release toxins that damage your body's cells, like salmonella in undercooked food or gonorrhea, another STD that causes a yellow discharge from the genitalia. Not nice. Fungi do something similar, like athlete's foot, while protists do all sorts of different things. For example, malaria is caused by a protist that burrows into red blood cells to multiply, then they burst out, destroying the red blood cell in the process. It's spread by mosquitoes, so we say mosquitoes are the vector for this disease. It's not only animals though, plants are particularly susceptible to fungal infections like rose black spot. Purple black spots appear on the leaves and then they fall off. Such infections can be treated with fungicides. Tobacco mosaic virus affects plants by discoloring leaves due to inhibiting chlorophyll production. Less photosynthesis occurs, and that causes stunted growth. Our bodies are excellent at protecting us from these pathogens though, thank goodness. Skin is the first barrier to them entering, and if they do enter your nose and trachea, they can be trapped by mucus. Acid and enzymes in your digestive system will destroy them too. If they still manage to enter the bloodstream though, white blood cells are ready to combat them. One type of these are called lymphocytes. They produce antitoxins to neutralize the poisons pathogens produce, and they also make antibodies which stick to the antigen on a pathogen, and this stops them from being able to infect more cells, and it makes them clump together. Phagocytes are then able to ingest them and destroy them. An antigen on the surface of a pathogen will have a specific shape. So that means only an antibody that fits it will neutralize it. If pathogens are unknown to the immune system, lymphocytes will start making all sorts of different shapes until one fits. Miraculously, your immune system will then store a copy of this antibody next to a copy of the antigen, so it's ready to stop it from causing an infection next time you're exposed to it. You now have immunity. A vaccine is a dead or inert version of a pathogen, usually a virus, that exposes your immune system to the pathogen so it can produce the antibody without it infecting you. For example, the flu vaccine, you're injected with the virus that has been irradiated, so the DNA has been damaged inside, so it can't do the job. Incidentally, the COVID jab, however, was intended to work differently. Instead, you're injected with the DNA, or technically mRNA, needed to trick your cells into making part of the virus, including the antigen. It was the first widely used jab that used this mRNA technology. Antibiotics kill bacteria, they don't kill viruses. Penicillin was the first one discovered. There are good bacteria in our bodies as well, so antibiotics are designed to be as specific as possible because you don't want to damage those or your body's cells either. Problem is, as bacteria mutate, they can become resistant to antibiotics, so the more you use them, the less effective they become. Drugs used to be extracted from plants and other organisms. For example, aspirin comes from willow trees, penicillin from a mold. Now, synthesizing drugs is one of the biggest industries on the planet. They have to be trialed to see how effective they are and to check for side effects. First, we do lab trials on cell tissue, then trials on animals, and then human trials. We give the drug to a group of people, but also we give a placebo to a control group without telling them, say a pill that's just a sugar pill, not the actual drug. This is what we call a blind trial because the test subjects don't know what they're taking. A double-blind trial is when even those analyzing the results from the tests aren't aware of which group is which, and that's to eliminate any bias. This is a crazy one, monoclonal antibodies. These are made from clones of a cell, which is able to produce a specific antibody to combat a disease. This is achieved by combining lymphocytes from mice with tumor cells, and this makes a hybridoma cell. This is then cloned to produce a lot of antibodies ready to treat a patient. These monoclonal antibodies can also be used for medical diagnosis, pathogen detection in a lab, or even just identifying molecules in tissue by binding them to a dye, so they glow when grouped together because they'll be designed to bind to a specific molecule. The downside to these is that the side effects are turning out to be worse than scientists expected. So I hope you found that helpful. Leave a like and a comment if you did, and click on the card to take you to the playlist for all of the papers, and don't forget to check out the Science Shorts app to help you test your knowledge.